Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Georgiana with Expressions Craft Studio, and if you're not new to the card making scene, then you've probably heard of these, but I had not until this video popped up on my YouTube feed, and it's called she's doing her favorite sketches, card sketches. So I actually had to go out and Google it, and I found a Pinterest board that I think had 900 sketches on it, and if I can find it again, I'll link it below in case any of you use Pinterest. But I found it to be a really interesting concept, and I was surprised I'd never heard of it before. I mean, I know some people have their favorite templates and stuff, but there's actually a whole group of people who sketch out their designs to use later. And so this video is by Paper Rose Studio, Kristie Marcotte. Okay, I can't talk today. Let me try that again. So this video is from Paper Rose Studio, Kristie Marcotte, and she's showing you her favorite sketches from a number of different people who have drawn out potential card fronts or layouts for you. Anyway, I just found it really interesting, and I've gone ahead and made the first one of her favorites list, and I've designed it in Design Space for you guys if you're interested. The next one, this is the pad of paper she's using, Dear Emma, but I'm going to fast forward a little bit to show you this first design. There it is. Oop. So this is the first design here, and I really liked it. It was so different. So let's flip over to the design in Design Space here. And I've gone ahead and put the name on it. It came from my goodness, I cannot talk today. I may have had too much sugar. I had French toast for breakfast. But it's from Sweet Sunday. It's sketch design number 300. And this is, well, let me get to the right place here. This is the card base that she's designing right now. And like I said, I did things a little differently. For instance, she shows on the sketch, you can see these 5 dots down here. I actually cut those holes into that piece. Now you don't have to do that. You can go into contour and let's see, let's ungroup or detach everything for this time being. You can go into contour and take those out if you just want to put some pearls or something there, or rhinestones. But I actually like the look, and if you're using a coordinating piece of cardstock, which of course you would, it's going to look nice there. And then you could add a little bit, I was thinking I could add a little bit of Wink of Stella so that they look like little rhinestones. I don't know, we'll have to try it and see what it looks like, but that was my thought. So I'm going to undo that, Control Z, regroup everything or reattach everything. Yeah, so the text is grouped together, not always, because sometimes I forget to do it. So you can always just hide it. It will give you this warning because of the size of it, but you can just, you know, it's not made to be printed or cut out or anything. It's just there so that you can have the link to the video if you want it, and to give credit to the person who inspired me to do this one. So we can just hide that text, and then this card's ready to cut out. Now you could layer another circle in this if you wanted to, so just duplicate it, and then let's take it to 3.25. Whoops. And let's change the color. And so you could have another, you know, so you've got options with this. I might leave that in there actually. But yeah, it's just really, I love this particular card base. It's very simple. I guess the point of the card sketches is so that you can just like have a little notebook or a card file or something and flip through it and see what you can use or what you're in the mood to make, maybe what your scraps will work for. I don't know. But anyway, this is the very first one. So I'm going to, I am going to go ahead and save that. Let me just put the text back out there. And then I'm going to save it again because I do like it with that extra circle on there. So I thought today we would go back to the video here. Let's see here. And we'll make one, we will redesign another one. So I was not necessarily super inspired by her number 2 favorite, which she did say these aren't in any order, so it may not be her number 2 favorite, but yeah, I'm just seeing something else I could do. I could take this circle here and cut it out of the layer behind there, and that's what I meant to do and I just forgot. So that's a good thing to remember. So when you're layering your pieces, you can do that rather than, it's kind of save your paper a little bit. Anyway, so this was the first one, and I thought the card was lovely, and she made 4 of every card. Here's the finished version of it, and she did put her little rhinestones down here, which looks really nice as well. I love the paper that she used. Purples and blues are kind of my jam. If we move on to card number 2, you can see the sketch of the card up here, and it's by My Favorite Things. And if you go to her website or blog, whatever it was, I don't remember, I apologize, she has like a list of 6 or 8 of her favorite sketch artists for card fronts. And it's a great resource if this is the kind of thing you're into. Even if you just want to print them out and have your, a standard catalog that you can look through. I think it's great. But this one, it's basic rectangles. I didn't see anything too difficult here that most people who've been using their Cricut wouldn't already know how to do. So I'm going to skip this one just because I think it's pretty simple. It's a lovely card, but it's really, there's nothing there that's too difficult. And you might say that was the same with the first one, but this one just, it doesn't inspire me. So we're going to go on to card number 3. And this one's a little different. You can see we've got our flag here. That's a piece we're going to have to make. And I say that because I try to use free shapes. That way everybody who has an account on Design Space or a login for Design Space can use them. You don't have to have a subscription. And that's my goal here, is to always be able to set these designs up so that everyone can use them, because I know not everybody can afford or even just wants a subscription, but they've got a Cricut and they want to be able to do basic things with it. And there isn't any reason we can't do that. So I'm going to go ahead and use her measurements here. If I can see that one up there at the top, I guess it's 5 1/4. Yeah, so I'm going to pause it right here, and we're going to go back to Design Space, and we're going to create this next card. So what I'm going to start with is I'm going to, well, you know what, I'm just going to clear this all out because I like being able to save the stuff that I have hidden over here. These are my basic pieces. I will need also the triangle for this one, and I don't think I'll need anything else. No. So let's change the color on that. And before I forget and save this with the wrong stuff in it, I'm going to resave this one as, what do we got here? OWH Stars and Stamps. Okay. OWH Stars and Stamps. I don't know. I'm not familiar with them, but I'll be looking them up after this. I can tell you that. So let's just go ahead and do a save as. And instead of Sweet Sunday, we'll just change it to, what did I say it was? OWH? OWH. I'm going to put in small letters card 3. Okay, and this again is good for all occasion. It's a pretty basic card. I am casing it and I'm going to share it. So there's where I'm going to put it. So the first thing we need to do is, I'm not going to put the card base in there this time, so actually I probably won't need this score line, because I think y'all know how to make a card base. Oh, you know what, we're here. Let's just do it. Let's do it. Okay, so our card base, this card's designed in landscape, so it's going to be 5.5 wide by 8.25, or no, 8.5 high. This should be 5.5. That looks better. So we're going to take our score line here and we're going to rotate it 90 degrees, and it needs to be 5.5 inches wide. And then we're going to just grab both the score line and the card base, and we're going to align and center. And I'm sorry, I know this is very basic for some of you guys. I should have made a copy of that. That's all right. We're good. We'll just keep moving forward. So I'm going to go ahead and attach that so it doesn't move on me. What I should have done was made another copy. Yeah. Okay. Let me grab another square here. And I'm going to change the color on that one. Okay. So this one actually needs to be a little bit lighter or darker. Let's go darker. So I'm just going to come in here under custom colors, and here's the color that we have selected, and I'm just going to pick something a little darker. There we go. I like it. Now you could use black, you could use whatever color you want. I tend to go monochromatic when I'm designing, but you can do whatever you like. Alright, so I'm going to move that over here, and we are going to make a copy of it this time. So we need a bunch of rectangles, right? So the first one is the first matting layer, which is 5.25 by 4. So let's unlock our proportions and let's go 5.25 by 4, and that is going to be our matting layer. Goes right there. Then we're going to need some other rectangles. So let's do, okay, 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. Oh, that probably was the first one. Okay, so this should be 5 3/8. So that's actually going to be, you know what, before I do that, let me just duplicate this one since it's almost there. So we're going to make this one 5 3/8. So that's 375 by 4 1/8, so 4.125. And then we'll kind of center that roughly in there. Yeah, it's not quite right, but that's pretty close. Alright, so now this one actually needs to be, oh, it's actually the right size, but we're going to need to change the color on it. So let's go up, let's pick a much lighter color, and that will be the matte over that. Again, it's not perfectly centered, but alright, so there's the two mattes. It was a little hard to see because the writing's up here under the title. Let me see if I can go back and get a better look at that. It doesn't look like I'm going to be able to, though. No. Alright, so then we might as well make this big square here with the matting layer. So I'm going to take both of these again, and we're just going to duplicate them, and we're going to change our sizes. So the square base is 3 5/8 by, no, it's 3 3/4 by 3 3/8. So unlock 3 3/4 by, what we say, 3 5/8, I think is what we said. 3 3/8. Oh, so close. Okay. 375. So this, of course, is going to be a little bit smaller at Okay, this one's 3 5/8 by 3 1/4. Oof. Okay, 3 5/8. 5/8 is 625 and 3 1/4. Does that look right once I line them up? I think it does. All right, I'm gonna center those, and I'm gonna group them. I don't need to group them. I'm just gonna move them over here. And then the other piece that they have is this one that goes across the bottom here. So let's do let's make a copy of that, and then I'm going to change the color to this medium color. Okay, and so this one is going to be 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. So 5.25 by 1.75, and that I'm going to bring it to the front, and we're going to put it so she's got it raised up a little bit, maybe a little bit more than that. And then you want to bring, let's see if we can move it down. So range, send backward. There we go. Okay, so then we've got our flag. And for that, we're going to need another rectangle, which this is going to be in the lightest color. And the size of this is 3/4 inches high by, well, she's got 7/8. Oh, okay, so she doesn't have the length on this one. And it looks like it's a little over half of the card base. So let's do 7/8 high, which is 0.875, and then let's make it 1 inch. Oh, no. Oh, I know what I was doing. Okay, so let's go 3. We'll just try it out and see how it looks, and I'll bring it to the front. I think it needs to be longer than that because it goes almost all the way to the edge. So let's make it 3 1/2. Now, obviously you can play with this, make it whatever size you like. And this really should be, because she's got this layered up too, so this should be the darker color. And then we're going to take this triangle here, and I'm going to make a copy of it. And I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. And if this is 7/8 inch high, I need my my triangle to be 7/8 inch high, so 0.875. That doesn't look right. Oh, it's because I turned it, so that needs to go over here. So 0.875. And I want to bring it to the front so I can see it. And let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to select both of these pieces. I'm going to align to the left and align at the top. And then you can decide, I mean, I'm making it for you, but if you decide to make your own, you can decide how much of a point or a tail you want on this. So I'm going to make that smaller. I like it smaller. That's a little bit smaller than the one she has, I think. But as I said, that's something you can adjust for yourself. So with both of them selected, we're going to slice. And then I'm going to grab one. I'm going to bring it over here. I'm going to flip it horizontally. And with both pieces selected, I'm going to align it at the top and align it at the right. And then I can slice it. And there you go. There's your flag. Oh, except she didn't do it both sides. Ah, look at that. I can just undo that. Control Z. Yeah, so there's our flag. Okay, well, I got a little carried away, but that's how you do that. So now we need one that's a little bit smaller. So let's just make a copy, and I'll change the color of this to the lighter color. And there's a couple ways you can do this. You can go up here and manually adjust your measurements in your size options, or you can go to an offset. And I kind of like to do this and just do like a negative offset. So I'm going to go up a little bit higher. I think I'm going to do that, and I want this corner here in the center here, I want it to be squared, so I'm going to select the squared off corner versus the rounded corner. I'm going to hit apply, and I don't need that one now. I'm going to change the color of this one, and I'm going to align and center. And that's not quite right, so I'm going to slide it over a little bit. That looks pretty good. Oh, and then I'm just going to group it. I'm going to get rid of this, and we're going to come back over here, and I'm going to zoom out. And so that's roughly where you would put that. Now, all of these pieces are optional. You can decide which ones you want and which ones you don't. I think, actually, looking at the original sketch, this one here is not quite right. It should be 1 3/4 by 5 1/4 is what she says. But if we zoom back in, you can see that it is the same width as the piece underneath it. And on the sample, you can actually see the border here of the base matte layer. So I'm going to go ahead and shrink this 1/8 of an inch. Let's see here. Width. Let's go 125 and see if that's what I think that's what we're working with. Oh no, wait a minute, I see what I did. Never mind. Yeah, you can see the base layer. Oh, so these are separate layers. Okay. All right, now wait a minute. So she does say that she goes in and writes her own measurements on some of this stuff, so it is possible that she's done something here, or that I've misconstrued something. Because you can see there is another strip through here. All right, you know what we're going to do? I think I can. We're going to duplicate this. We're going to slide it over this way, and I think the border on that's too big. That's what I think. So maybe I'll come back to it, but I think what she's done is, because you can see this line through here, which is the first matte layer, you can see it not only all the way around the edge, but you can see this line through here and this line through here. So those strips are actually separate pieces laid over the matte. So let's work on this one. So I'm going to just take, and I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to unlock my proportions, because I just want to shrink it this way. And then I'm going to duplicate it, because now I need to cover the bottom. So that's kind of roughly, oh, that's really small. Let me zoom back in. So this is where your scraps could really come in handy. Maybe I'll make this a little smaller. That way I can make this a little bit wider. I forgot to unlock my proportions. So let's just go 1. So if you want the exact look that she's got, you're going to have to do something like this. If you, let's go 0.25. If you're trying to save paper, this might be a good way to do it. But that's completely up to you. If you just want the ease of cutting them out without having to do all this layering and then try to get your spacing exact. I'm going to bring that down just a little bit more. Oh, let's just make it 2. Okay, so that's roughly what she's got there. Okay. So yeah, I think this one, I'm going to take a copy of this one. I'm going to bring it over here. And I'm going to ungroup it. And I'm going to do an offset, but this time I am going to go bigger. It'll let me do anything a little smaller than that. Let's go 4. I'm just kind of guessing here, so I can pull that away, take and make this that lighter blue, get rid of that, and then I can just pull this over a little bit. That's definitely better. Okay, so I'll regroup that. It's still not perfect, but at least you see how to make adjustments to it if you want. So I'm going to bring that to the front, pull that back over here. And again, there's a lot of layers on this card. So you've got your, well, let me zoom back in, that was silly. You've got the card base, so there's 1. Then you've got this matting layer, that's 2. Then you've got these layers here on top, that's 3. Then you've got this square embellishment, so you've got 2 more layers there, so that's 4 and 5. And then you've got 2 layers with the flag, so that's 6 and 7. Now you can always omit certain layers if you want, omit certain design elements if you like. That's completely up to you. Obviously, if you're using scrapbook paper instead of cardstock, it'll be a little thinner, so you won't have to worry about as much bulk. But especially if you're going to start like putting dimensionals behind some of this stuff, that is something you might want to take into consideration. So the thickness of your paper or cardstock is going to matter. I'm going to go ahead and group all of these, and then I'm going to hide them. But there's the card base, or the card from OWH, which is starsandstripes.org. I don't know. But that's just another, it is a good way to use up your scraps. And like I said, if you don't, even if you just have a Design Space login and you don't have the subscription, you could still use these even if you want to cut them by hand, because now you could click on it and see exactly what size you want. But that's up to you. You know, there's always more than one way to do a thing, and that's kind of what I strive to show you. So one of the things that we need to do that I haven't done yet, let me go ahead and save this real quick, is we're going to put some text on here. So this is card base. It's the first one I want. And I always change it to print then cut, and I change the color to red because I like for it to stand out. So I'm going to duplicate that, and then there's one on each one. And then I'm going to do another text. Let's go ahead and do plus, and Vindu ALT. I'll just put alternate. Yeah, we'll just do that. And put that, slide that under, well, this really is the alternate. This is the way it looks, but I don't think that's how she cut it out necessarily. So you have two options there. They're not very different. You can choose on your flag, and you can choose these three mats here versus the two. It depends on whether or not you want this bottom mat layer to show through. So I'm going to save that again. Oh, I still need to put who it's made by, or who inspired by, don't I? So I'm going to slide everything over a little bit. I'm going to pick alternate again, duplicate. And it was made by OWH. Sketch 218. And this is from Kristie Marcotte, Paper Rose Studio. And let's get that URL in there in case anybody needs that. And then we're going to select all that and just make that a lot smaller. We'll bring that over here. There we go. So we'll save it. Oh, actually, before I do that, let me group the text. That's all grouped together now, so it can easily be hidden right here. And now we'll save it. So let's go back and finish watching her video. Let's see how her card comes out compared to the design she has over here. I'm going to fast forward through it a little bit. Yeah, you can see there she's cut that piece, so you can't see this matting layer behind there the way she did it, which is how I redid it. So you can do it either way, you know, take your pick. I like the contrast on this card. My monochromatic design style doesn't really highlight just how pretty this card is. Oh, okay, so she had it upside down. Okay. And then you can stamp your sentiment, or you could always do a digital printout of your sentiment. If you leave enough room between them and you don't mind wasting a little bit of paper, you leave enough space between your digital images, you could print out a whole sheet at a time. Or even if your printer, you know, if you're really comfortable with it and you know, it has the capability, you could print, like in my case, I could cut my 8.5 by 11 into 4 pieces, and I can tell my printer to custom size it. And then I could just maybe print 2 or 3 or 4 sentiments on there, and then I have either multiples of one, or I've just got different ones. And then you can have your Cricut cut that out for you as well. So that's something that I do like to do, especially because I can do them in color. I can change the size. You know, I don't have that the ability to change the size. That versatility is lacking when it comes to stamps. And I'm not a real good stamper, so there's that. So here we are with card design 4. Should we do another one real quick? I like this one because she's got another little flag up there that we can create. So let me pause it. This one's from Mojo Monday. Mojo Sketch 567. My goodness. Okay, so let's go back over to Design Space. And I'm going to You know what, we'll just grab us a new one, because that's too confusing. I messed up one of my files the other day by doing it this way. So I'm going to just start with a fresh one here. So let's go out and grab our shapes. We need a square. We know we need a score line. We know we need the little triangle bit, and I think I remember seeing a circle. So we are going to change the color. Actually, let's do it that way. And I always start with this one, and then I go to advanced, but you do whatever makes you happy. And I go somewhere around there. All right, so we know we're going to need to do the card base. We're going to need to change our size, but you know what I need to do? I need to duplicate that. There I go again. All right, so this is another. Now, so you're just doing this one portrait. Okay. So this is going to be 8.5 wide by 5.5 tall. And then we're going to make a copy of our score line. We know it needs to be 5.5 tall. And we can select both and align and center and then attach. Now, this is always optional. If you've got a stash of card bases already made up, and say you like to just work with a white card base, work with a white card base. You don't have to cut this one out. You can always just hide it, or change the color so it doesn't show up in your matte list layer, whatever works for you. So let's grab another one of these. And obviously I want this one to be, you know what, I really want this color to be lighter. I don't think, let's see here. Let's change it to white. You know what, let's just try something different. It makes it a little hard to see, but my background color, I will make that like a light gray. How's that? Okay, so we know we're gonna need a base layer, a bottom matte layer, which she has at 4 by 5.25. Or is that, nope, that's not what she's got. Okay, let me go, let's see. We're gonna do this with 1/8 inches. So we're gonna unlock our proportion. The width now is gonna be 4.125, and the height is gonna be 5.5, so it's going to be 375. Is that right? I may have maxed out my brain capacity for the day. Ring to front. Yeah, I think that's probably right. I'm going to align vertically. And horizontal looks pretty good. Okay, so there's our matte layer, and she has it in black, but we've got this dark blue. So our next two pieces, she's got these border strips. Let's see here. She's got these border strips at the top and the bottom. So that's what we're going to design next. So we're going to grab this again, make a copy. I'm going to change that color to a lighter color, advanced, and we're going to come up here somewhere. And our measurements for that are going to be 4 by 5. That's not right. She's got 4 by 5.25. But she's cut those much smaller because she's saving paper. All right, let's see here. We're going to go back over. We're going to see what she's doing here.
One of their sketch designers, Julie Tillman, she decided to start making a few more Mojo Monday sketches on her own blog. Not sure how many she ended up with, but I think it was at least another 50. and this is one of her newer sketch designs. The original Mojo Monday sketches did not include measurements, but when Julie started doing them on her blog, she did include measurements. So that's really nice.
Okay, so that's how she's getting that line to show up. She's adding it to the matting layer under the square. I got it. I see what she's doing. So we're kind of going to be winging this a little bit because she doesn't really say how big those were. Let's bring that to the front. And actually, this is another matting layer, so I'm getting ahead of myself again. Well, it is the matting layer. Okay, you know what? Let's see. So I don't really know. All right, we're just going to kind of wing it here. I thought I brought that to the front. Let me do that again. All right, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And I'm going to come down here, and I'm just going to unlock proportions, which it looks like they already are. I'm just going to drag this over. So that would be 4. And I don't like the 2. That's too wide. I'm going to go 1.25. That looks pretty good. Bring this down. And we're going to make another copy of it. So you can always adjust this if you don't like the height of those. Or the width, however it's working out for you. I feel like that should be a little bit bigger. I feel like it should be 0.125. So I feel like it should be 4 1/8. But that's what this is. So no, it does need to be 4. Alright, let's Control Z. It just looks like a wider border, but it's probably because I'm zoomed in. So now we have those two pieces. And then what she did was she made the base this middle square here is 4 by 3.5. So that's probably the lighter piece. 4 by 3.5. So okay, let's see what that gives us. Let's bring it to the front. And it does cover that up. So that would work. Okay, so I'm going to send all this to the back. And hopefully that'll help. So I can probably adjust this somewhat. Let's do unlock. It was already unlocked. And let's do something like this. Okay, so then we need to make a copy of that, and this one will be an 1/8 inch smaller all the way around. So, let's see, we've got, so our width, actually I gotta unlock it. Our width is going to be 3.875, and this one is going to be let's just try 3 and see, and I'm going to change that to a lighter color. Oops, didn't mean to do that. There we go. So if you center that just so, that does give you your borders. Let's see here. If we zoom in, looks pretty good. could be up a little. Oh, not too far. All right, so now we have that. And we still need to make this flag here. We've got this little piece for the top and this circle, which is stitched, by the way. We're not going to be stitching it. I talked about that in one of my recent videos, and I'm still working on that. So let's see, let's make our other rectangle here. And it needs to be 1 3/4 by 4 3/4. So 1.75 by 4.75, is that what I said? Yes. Okay, so bring to the front. I thought that would solve all my problems, but it didn't. And that doesn't go top to bottom. Okay, so that's one layer. And she's just got one layer on that, so that's the way we're going to leave it. Just kind of trying to position it. So then we've got our circle, which is easy peasy. Oh, let me make a copy. I always forget my copies. Bring it to the front. And her circle measures 2 1/4 inches. So we'll do that. And she does not have a matte layer under that either, but you could always add one. And then we've just got our little flag here. So we're going to take our square again and our triangle. And we're going to make a copies. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit. All right, so we're going to size our flag is 1 1/2 inches wide by 1 inch tall. And so this needs to be 1 1/2 inches wide. And then we can make it as tall or short as we want. She's got it pretty short. I'm going to change the color on that just to make it easier to see. Now it's not centered yet, but do we like that? Could I make it a little shorter? I don't know. That's not bad. So I'm going to align it at the bottom and align it at the left or the right. And then we can just do our slice. And there's our flag. Bring to front. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. So I think that's what we've got for Mojo Sketch 567. And I'm going to take these, I'm going to group them, I'm going to hide them, and then we'll add our text to them. So I will put the link for, what did we do, work on 3 of them today? I will put the 3 links in the description of the video on the Facebook page. That's where you'll find those. And you can access them and then they're ready to cut out unless you want to make adjustments to them, which you can. If you want to look at the video, I will have that, I will type that up over here. Let me just save as real quick. So this was OJO, and it was their Mojo Sketch 567. So anyway, the point of this video was just to show you some of these different card sketches that are available. I think her video is from 3 years ago. And let's see here. Yeah, June 18th, 2022. So it's not like an ancient idea, but for some reason, even though I've been making cards longer than that, I had not heard of card sketches. So it's quite interesting. Like I said, you'll find a lot of them on Pinterest. You'll, if you follow her page, let's see here, give me a second to pull up her blog. Alright, so if you check out her link, which is the first link on the video, I believe, and you go to her website, you pick sketch sites. This is a list down here of the 8 people that she has, and for some reason it's not scrolling on my screen here, but there are 8 different people that make card sketches. So that's a great resource for you guys if you're looking for some inspiration and some ideas. The other thing I found is, let's see here. So the other thing I found was on Pinterest, and this lady, Carol Fage, has 1,481 pins for card sketches. Some of them are really interesting, and others, it's going to kind of depend on what appeals to you. But there are a lot of pictures here, a lot of inspiration. A lot of these you really could use, if not entirely scraps, at least a lot of your scraps. So check this out. I'll put this link in the I'm sorry, I heard my husband talking to somebody. I'll put this link in the description below. Alright. Anyway, if you guys have any questions, I'll probably do a few more of these just because now I'm kind of having fun with this. But I'll look for something a little different and maybe explore some of these other sites that Kristie had mentioned and see what we can come up with. So until next time, guys, this is Georgiana, and I hope you have a happy, crafty day.